What is up, universe? My name is Shaman Geronimo. No, I'm not actually a shaman. I just tripped balls enough and then it sounded cool. So, there it is. But today, what I wanted to do is talk a little bit on my backstory and how I've come this far. So, everything, just to start things out, everything that traumatic that happens to you is a blessing in disguise. That's your superpower. Not getting the love that I wanted as a child made me search for the divine love, the divine kingdom within. And now I don't need no bitch. I don't need nothing. Before I was in a state, like, they programmed me to think, like, oh, I'm not complete unless I have my partner. It's like, fuck that shit. Just being in that energy, you're always going to attract someone that has a similar mindset. They're like, some sort of attachment. I don't need nobody. So, I was adopted. My parents were drug addicts. At the age of 4, some crazy shit happened. So, everything was normal for me. I remember living in tents and RVs and stuff, but nothing was ever missing when I was a child. Because I had my parents and the love, and sometimes I would be, like, standing in front of a vending machine and, like, just looking at the food, all hungry. But other than that, like, all my needs were met. But they were drug addicts, and they got a couple strikes from CPS or whatever, and eventually they got us taken away. And so my parents begged my other aunt and uncle to please take the children because they didn't want us splitting up. Because that's what they would normally have to do, is you go here, you go here. So they kept the 3 of us together, and we got adopted. But before we actually went to our home, we went through several different homes. So I remember living with my grandma, and then my other aunt, and we actually got adopted by her, and then something happened and we couldn't stay there. So 1, 2, then 2 different adoption, at least 2 different group homes that I might have been at for a couple weeks or a couple months, I don't know. But as a child, it felt like years. I remember this all. Everything below the age of 5, all my memories, it felt eternal for some reason. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but those months or days, whatever it was, felt like years. But constantly going from family to family, I think it did something to me. And we, of course, take everything personal as children. So I thought, that damaged my self-worth, my self-love. Like, obviously, I'm not lovable. I'm going through families. No one really has love for me. So I learned how to survive on my own, and that's my third eye got opened up. I started tuning to other people, becoming a people pleaser so that I can survive, because I wasn't getting my needs met. So I was looking out like, how can I help? How can I give? But my family that I ended up getting adopted by was like the complete opposite of who I would like. It was more of like a masculine household. Like, my mother that raised me had more masculine love. Not saying that that's not just as important as feminine love, but of course, I just missed, like, being held and, like, getting hugged and, just those little things, that attention that my adoptive mother couldn't give me. Literally couldn't, because she had 3, 4, 5 children of her own and other people living in the house, plus us 3. My dad was the only one, my adoptive dad was the only one working. He was in the Army. So I didn't realize this back then, but they were broke. They were struggling to get by, All I can do is like, I just felt pity, and I didn't know how to get out of the rut. And I probably brought my family down. But at the same time, everything that happens, everyone that you meet, it's a mutual manifestation. So even though I was a horrible person, whatever, as a child, whatever, I attracted, or a good example would be, they would often treat me like crap, like, shut the fuck up, and just make me feel like shit. But the thing is, it wasn't them. And this is what you got to realize. It wasn't them. You are God. And somewhere along the lines, I got traumatized as a kid. And that became a part of me. It got trapped in there somewhere. And I thought that I was less than. And so all those people could do, all my family could do, was tell me how I was already feeling inside. And it was stuck in a pickle because I didn't know how to love myself. And then my family didn't really know how to love themselves either. as most people, to take care of yourself, to really give your attention, to treat yourself like you're God. If you were God's pet, how would you be treating yourself? Because that's exactly what this is, But, yep, so I got adopted, and there was good times, but once I started becoming a teenager, like 12-ish, worst depression ever. I was like suicidal, had multiple not even attempts, but I just didn't care, so I'd just take pills and wake up in the hospital like, what happened? But yep, whatever happened to you, it's not their fault, it's not your fault, just we're God. And when we think of ourselves as less than, the world has no choice but to give you what you're impressing on it. That's the subconscious mind. And so going through all that, I've just learned everything backwards. How to manifest backwards. How to love myself backwards by not loving myself, Seeing the world go to hell. Seeing the world my own personal world go to shit. But then I started realizing, reading books, learning from different people, self-love, your self-image. And then I started working on that. And instead of, working out, eating healthy, that's part of it. But half of it is just in your mind and getting to the root of your subconscious programs. So my parents, just like yours maybe did when you were growing up, we can't afford that. And then maybe if you're in a bad household, you're a piece of shit. You're going to hell. You're going to jail. You're never going to get anywhere. Do the opposite of that. That's a program. I already am somewhere. And actually know that. Not just try to believe it like an affirmation. Know it. But you have something to learn once you take your story. Because we all went through shit, man. It's all relative. You take your shit, you realize what the story is. What story you're telling yourself right now. When you can retell the story in a way that is growth, is love, out of forgiveness, out of compassion, then you're going to change your now reality. And you can actually change the past. All the future, past, now is all happening right now. It's getting to the root of it. But stay out of those parallel realities that you don't want to be in. Most of the time you're in a good reality. And then you start thinking, you start drifting. It's like you're surfing the internet. Except you're surfing the multiverse and you're thinking about things and this and how that hurt. And then pretty soon, you're in that reality with that past. And then pretty soon you're a victim and shit's happening to you. And why does this always happen to me? Get out of that. Get out of that programming. You are worthy. You deserve it all. You don't need to do anything to deserve it. You were born worthy. And the more you can know this for yourself, the more you can treat yourself like God, the more that you start helping other people, the more your life is going to get better. There's all the major religions, they talk about this shit. Like, love your neighbor as yourself. Do all this stuff. Why? Because the universe is mental. The universe is mental. That's the first law of the universe in the Kabbalion. So, get to the root of it. Start doing the things, whatever you need to do. Start helping the world. And as soon as you can start falling in love with life and what you do, and actually feel it from your heart, that's when the universe can bless you. But you have to be in a state of receiving. You can't be in a state of wanting. You can't be in a state of searching. Just like if you lose something and you're frantically searching for it, you're not going to find it. Because this is a fucking state of consciousness. Above all. Above fucking all. Next time you lose something, stop looking for it. You're going to find it. No one believes me. I mean, you guys are going to have no choice because you're either going to manifest the end of the world or you're going to realize this just in time. But be grateful. Be grateful. Really. My days, people that are enlightened, I'm not saying I'm enlightened, but you can have 1 or 2 days. You can have acceptance, love, gratitude and then your fruits will spring from that energy. Or you can have fear, doubt, shame, and bad shit's gonna fucking happen. But it's up to you. So, I hope you found this useful. Like, subscribe, or whatever, and I'll see you next time.